Hey guys, welcome back to another stream. My internet is pretty shady right now, so if I drop out, Kendall's just gonna keep this going. But I'm super excited, guys, because this is a new series that we're gonna be doing every week, talking about the Premier League. And Kendall, I don't know if you know this, but your stream with me was one of the best streams that I ever had. Numbers wise, comments wise, everybody absolutely loved you. So I'm super excited to have you back on the channel.
Oh, that's so good. That's so nice to hear, though. Honestly, I always love doing streams with you and stuff. So I'm excited. This is going to be a totally new show for us both. So yeah, I'm excited. And that's really nice to hear, actually.
Awesome. So guys, if you're watching, feel free to just leave us any comments. We're going to be talking about the Premier League in general because I want to make my channel open to all Premier League clubs and not just Chelsea focused. So we're just going to recap what happened and maybe do some predictions for next week. So feel free to just chat about anything and we'll kind of get to it. So Kendall, first thing I wanted to ask you about, Crystal Palace battered Tottenham 3-0. What do you think about that? Is it a surprise? Is it a one-off? Or do you think that they'll come back from this? They obviously played Chelsea at the weekend. How do you feel about this whole thing?
You know what? When I watched the game, Tottenham they just were doing nothing. There was no attacking outlet whatsoever. Crystal Palace clearly came in with a game plan. Patrick Vieira said that he's never lost against Tottenham before, even going into now as a manager. So they obviously came in with a game plan. It worked. And a couple of their players really stood out for me. So Conor Gallagher, I thought, was fantastic. Okay. Odsonne Edouard obviously had debut of the season at the minute because he scored in 10 seconds and he came on. I could not believe it. And he looked really good. But yeah, Tottenham didn't look great at all. A couple of their players struggled. Their midfield is quite poor, in my opinion. I think maybe they're going to have to look at it because they've looked decent so far. But, Tottenham fans, very negative straight away. They were like, oh, Nuno, it's the same Nuno. It's the Wolves Nuno. I was like, calm down. It's fine. It's one game. But obviously, as you say, it's you guys this weekend, so you want to hope that they carry that form on through to your game.
I know, I really do, because honestly, when they beat City, I was thinking in the first weekend, I was thinking, okay, maybe this Tottenham team can play. At that point, it was really uncertain about Harry Kane's future as well. So do you think all of the drama concerning Harry Kane this summer has played a part into it mentally at all?
It probably has, because it was such a saga. The whole Jack Grealish thing was done and everyone kind of forgot about Harry Kane for a little while. And then the whole behaviour following that. Sorry if you hear any background noise, by the way, guys. My cat and my child are just having, I don't know what they're doing over there. But yeah, so it will obviously play on a player's mentality because he's been at Spurs for so long. It was going to probably be, before we knew Messi and Ronaldo were leaving, it would have been the transfer of the summer, especially in the Premier League. So it obviously has played a part, especially when he comes back from England duty as well, because he plays a much deeper role for England than he does for Tottenham. So I wonder if that maybe had an effect as well, the fact that he maybe never switched back on to Tottenham mode when he came back. So yeah, I think it will have had an effect in some parts, but it's football, it's the game. You've got to deal with these things and they come and go all of the time.
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi is on the brink of crapping out, you guys. So hopefully it's okay. So yeah, I really agree with everything that you've said about Tottenham. I hope that they carry their bad form into the Chelsea game, and seeing how Chelsea played, we'll get into that as well. I think that Chelsea can really do some damage, but something that I wanted to kind of talk about, Kendall, I'm not sure if you watched the Chelsea game because it was the later kickoff of all the games.
Yeah, I watched the second half. I didn't watch the first half. I watched the second half.
So the first half, Chelsea played actually quite poorly. I thought that Aston Villa were by far the better team actually, and they were unlucky not to score. And I think that it speaks a lot about this Chelsea side that even though Chelsea played poorly, in my opinion, we did get our act together a bit more in the second half. Um, we still managed to score 3 goals, which is not something that you would have seen about the Chelsea from last season. So, kind of knowing this, how do you feel about this Chelsea side going looking into the season?
I think that the Chelsea side is one of the strongest in the league, especially if you look at the first 11 and plus the rotational players in the squad depth, because you can probably look at it and think that you have a first 11, you know, that you would choose every week, but there's always going to be them players like you've signed Saul now, who's going to come in here, there and everywhere. You know, you've got defenders all over the shop like Trevor Chalobah, who's going to be like amazing as well. But he might not be the first one on the team sheet every week, but you know that you've always got backup. I think Chelsea are absolutely contenders in my opinion. They've got a fantastic manager in Tuchel. They've obviously signed a striker, which maybe was the downfall last season. Despite when Tuchel came in, you guys excelled even more from that point. Obviously, Lukaku's come in now, so I really don't see a downside to this Chelsea squad right now. Obviously, there's been shouts for Edouard Mendy being, you know, world class after last season, and it might be a little bit premature, but he's consistent, and that's always going to play a part. So yeah, I think you look really, really strong. And obviously we'll probably get into it shortly about the Sauls debut because
I was literally just about to ask you that because, as I'm sure you probably know, he did not have the debut that we were hoping for. I went on my channel and I said, guys, you know, it wasn't a great debut. He did not play well. I think he lost possession 9 times in 45 minutes, which is just, you know, it's a lot. It's shocking. The midfield was getting completely overrun. But what I said on my channel was, guys, what you have to remember is this all happened so quickly. He went on the Twitch stream. He said that from one day to the next, he didn't know that he was moving. He thought that he was staying at Atletico, and he told his wife he was staying at Atletico the day before the transfer deadline. And then he moves to a country where he does not speak English, really. New team, new players, new country, new language, new position, because he's been playing in all of these different positions for Atletico, like you mentioned as well. So I want to get your opinion on this. Is this something that Chelsea should be worried about? Were you expecting this debut from him? And do you think that he is going to improve going forward?
What I'm glad about is that Tuchel took responsibility for starting him, because I think that was a mistake. I know obviously I'm not the manager, and he probably looked at him in training and thought he looked really strong, and said, you know,
I think if Jorginho didn't play the 3 Italy games on international duty, then you probably don't start Saul in that game. But given that, it's like,
yeah, I agree, 100% agree. I don't think he should have started, but it is what it is, and he has now. And all he can do is learn from it. Obviously, we did the stream about Saul, and I did say that his physicality was going to be a problem. Not necessarily a problem in terms of a long-term problem where he's not going to cut it, but coming into a league that is just, everyone always, you know, says the difference between the Premier League and La Liga. It is quite vast in terms of the intensity of football that is played and the style of football. And unfortunately, you know, when you're coming up against Premier League players, they are much more physical, they are stronger, and they're a completely different type of player to play in the Premier League. So I do feel sorry for him, because obviously it's going to be a confidence knock. You want to come in and impress. His whole social media has been very Chelsea, 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 Chelsea for like days now. And I kept saying, like, I've never seen him post this much. So he's obviously really willing to impress in a Chelsea shirt. And sadly, he didn't. But I wouldn't write him off. I saw so many negative tweets. I was like, guys, come on. Like, from people as well who have been saying, like, oh, give Timo Werner time. I'm like, but you're writing somebody off who's come from a completely different league. All he's ever known is La Liga. He's never played elsewhere. You can't write a player off in a game like that. And luckily, obviously, as I said, Tuchel did take responsibility for it, and maybe going forward, he is just going to come in as sub here, there and everywhere. But yeah, I did feel sorry for him. But as I say, it's nothing a coach like Thomas Tuchel can't improve on. So fingers crossed, he learns from that and goes forward better.
Yeah, I think if anybody, if you want to have any coach helping him, it's Thomas Tuchel because we've
Yeah.
seen that he's improved the likes of so many players, like Jorginho is on the fringes as well, Rudiger, Marcus Alonso, Timo Werner has improved under him. Like he's just such a good coach. And what I say time and time again is I try to bring like the person aspect, like these players are people first.
Yeah.
They are not robots. Like this guy has just gone through one of the biggest life changes that you're going to go through and move to a new country. It's really freaking hard. So just give him some time to adapt. And we've seen even like senior players like Thiago Silva, who's an absolute beast, who rarely puts a foot wrong. Even he like kind of didn't realize the pace of the Premier League and made a mistake against West Brom. So it's going to happen, but I do think that he's going to improve. Now, if you're Thomas Tuchel, do you start him in the Champions League game tomorrow?
I personally wouldn't, because I just think confidence is so important, especially in any player aspect, in any person's life. You want confidence, you want that belief that you're going to do well. To start him again, if he drops another disaster class, like I know that's a bit extreme, but if he does, it's just it's going to really go on the trajectory of the rest of his time at Chelsea, just because you need to, sit back a little bit. The thing about Saul is maybe Tuchel might look at the fact that he has got Champions League experience in terms of like playing in the Champions League and playing in European tournaments. So that might be a good element. And you're not obviously playing a Premier League game. So maybe there's probably good for both sides, because as I say, you're not playing a Premier League team, so the physicality won't be as tough. But also that confidence, if he gets another confidence knock, then where do you go from there? So maybe, I don't know what Tuchel's going to be thinking of, because by the looks of things, the league is probably going to be the priority this year because you won the Champions League last year. So I know it's nice to win it again, but it's extremely hard to retain the Champions League. So maybe the league will be the focus this year.
Yeah, I think really, really well said. If I'm looking ahead, I think that N'Golo Kante is out for an indefinite amount of time. We're not exactly sure. So maybe you start Kovacic and Jorginho on Sunday against Tottenham and you play Saul tomorrow in the Champions League.
Yeah.
But Thomas Tuchel will be the one to decide that. Thanks, Daniel, for your comments. Really nice of you. So now I wanted to ask you about the United Newcastle game. Obviously, the big headline there was Ronaldo making his debut again. I personally felt that Newcastle were a bit unlucky and that at some points of
Yeah.
the game they looked like they should have been ahead. I didn't think that United have played like that well until the final couple of goals. But what's your take on that game?
The first half, I thought we played really, really well. In fact, I thought we had the better chances first half, and I was really getting sick and tired of everyone like, "Oh, Viva Ronaldo." I was like, honestly, like just calm down. Like I know everyone's glad that the club legend's back. I know that he's one of the best players in the world, one of the best players of our generation. I understand the hype, but for me, everyone was just focusing on that. Like it wasn't like about Newcastle. It was just about Manchester United. And I understand that. I get, Big Six. I understand all of that. But there was just no praise, even from the commentators. There was just nothing, no praise whatsoever. It was just about Ronaldo, 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 Ronaldo. And in the first half, obviously, I thought it was going to be 0-0, and I was like, you know what? I'm really glad about that, because I thought it was going to at least be like 4-5-0. And then obviously, right at the last minute of the first half, the goal went in. From my opinion, it was a goalkeeper mistake because it deflected off Freddie Woodman. Coming into the second half, it was so bad from our point of view. Obviously, Freddie Woodman then got nutmegged again in the same game. To be fair, Manquillo, amazing goal. I thought his goal was exquisite. I thought the lead up to the goal was fantastic, but then we did nothing. We had chances, we were going forward, and there was just nothing in the final third. And then that's going to be the problem now, because Callum Wilson is now out till October at least.
Yes.
And we haven't signed a striker, so we are relying on the likes of Dwight Gale, who, in my opinion, is championship level at best. That's where he excels. Joe Linton and St. Maximin is our strike force. So that's not looking good for the next few games at all. It's actually very worrying.
So do you think that Newcastle are going to be in a relegation position at least until Callum Wilson is back?
Yeah, I just can't see where we're going to improve, because I've said since we signed him, actually, his final third is like quite low, and I think that's maybe why he's not playing at a top level team right now. I know obviously the Premier League's top level, but in terms of the highest level in a league, I think that's why he may not succeed currently at that level. But under a coach like Steve Bruce, you're going to struggle anyway. We've seen positives from Joe Linton in a winger position and in a central position in terms of maybe like a 10, where his hold up play is quite good. We can't rely on him as a number 9. It's impossible because he can't finish the ball. He went and nutmegged Varane, sent Paul Pogba to the absolute shops, and then scuffed a shot. Like, it doesn't matter how much you do in the lead up. It's that final bit.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. So I think we're going to be really struggling this year. The past few seasons we've relied on teams being worse than us. That's been our whole motto: teams worse than you, you'll be fine. And this year, I genuinely, hand on my heart, can't see a team. I'm not saying the actual players, player by player, but the setup and the system and the way that we play, I can't see a team worse than us apart from maybe Norwich. And so that's worrying to me. And yeah, as you say, I just can't see a way out of this until Callum Wilson maybe comes back.
Yeah. I feel for you. I mean, the only experience that I really have is when Chelsea came in 10th, and that was like a terrible season for us. And we were just like, I felt like we were losing every single game. So I can imagine how frustrating it must be as a fan. We have a question for you, Nipun, as why didn't Dubravka? Sorry, I totally butchered that.
So Dubravka is currently injured, and he picked up an injury in the summer, the same injuries he picked up last summer, and he is out now till probably January. Obviously, that's our main goalkeeper. That's our number 1. Our number 2, Carl Darlow, has long COVID, so he's currently also not fit. Hence why Freddie Woodman is in goal for us at the moment. I do feel sorry for him because the pressure to make your debut in a season where you've got players like Ronaldo, like Lukaku, where your own team's defense is bad. I do feel for him, but yeah, where hopefully Carl Darlow's fit soon because he's a little bit more trustworthy. So
yeah, hope so. Mohammed asks, can we talk about Pogba? I mean, 7 assists in 4 games is crazy. Yeah, that is actually crazy. It's ridiculous. I think he's kind of going under the radar because you have Bruno Fernandes there, and then Mason Greenwood is kind of been standing out as well. And then all of a sudden it's been about Ronaldo the past week or 2 weeks or so. But yeah, this is absolutely insane as well. And maybe if you guys play fantasy, he could be a good fantasy asset. I don't have him in my team. I think his ownership is probably pretty low. Keanu says, I'd say Arsenal are in worse shape than Newcastle at the moment. And I was laughing when you said the only team below worse than us are Norwich, because in my mind I was thinking, Arsenal potentially, not a blow to Arsenal, but they've just won their first game of this season. They've scored their first goal of this season in a 1-0 win against Norwich. So what do you think about that? Like, should Arsenal fans be worried?
I always said no. Like, when they were obviously at the bottom of the table, I said it's not going to be a forever thing. Arsenal as a club have got all of the tools not to be that club at the bottom of the table. They've got, the money, whether it's invested properly is another story, but they've got the money, they've got, the structure, the infrastructure as a club not to be there. It's worrying when you watch them play because, again, they also look like they've just got no outlet whatsoever going forward. Against Norwich, maybe you can't judge because currently Norwich, they're a yo-yo club. They always have been. And maybe that's not the bar to set it at. But when you're in this position, as I've mentioned many times in the past, even you'll know yourself in terms of Lampard, when you're in a position where you aren't winning games all of the time and you're struggling to find a win, one win can just set you off, and you start picking up form and you start understanding the little niches in your team that will help you win games. So this may set them off. It may not. It may just be, it's Norwich. kind of thing. But that's no disrespect to Norwich, by the way, because honestly, you're better than us at the moment. But it might just be a case of that, but also it could set them off. So I don't know where they're going to be. They just don't look great when they play, and they don't look like they have a plan. And I think that's probably a criticism that Arteta has from a lot of Arsenal fans, that he doesn't really look like he knows what the team are meant to be doing, and then that obviously relays into the team. So we'll see. I don't know who they've got next, actually. Oh, Burnley. So
Yeah, could be another team to win again. I don't know, with Burnley and Chelsea, like we always struggle against them for some reason,
yeah,
and we always struggle to score against them. So I don't know if Arsenal are gonna have the same issue as well. But yeah, I think they kind of look like they're lacking a game plan. They need the likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette to step up. I think Saka and Emil Smith Rowe look pretty strong when they are playing, but it just feels like very disjointed for Arsenal at the moment. So last game I wanted to talk about Leeds versus Liverpool. Liverpool versus Leeds. I forgot if it was home or away.
Leeds is at
Leeds
home.
versus Liverpool. Yeah. What did you make of that game? Because I was watching it, so freaking entertaining, like really end-to-end stuff. I thought Leeds were actually super unlucky not to score any goals.
That's been their problem for a few, I'm not going to say a few seasons, only last season, obviously. Since last season, they've conceded as many of these as they've scored, and I think that's a problem, because there is the players there. They have a great attacking force, obviously a coach in Bielsa who knows how to play forward-thinking football. And in this kind of league and in this modern era of football, that's so important. They looked good yesterday. Obviously, we'll talk about the red card and things like that. But Liverpool just look really strong. I don't know what it is, and I think a lot of us discounted them because they didn't really make that many signings. And obviously, as we saw last season, the Van Dijk injury really affected them for huge parts of the season. But they just looked good yesterday. They just looked great. Apart from Mane's form is really off at the moment. Luckily he scored yesterday, but he could have had 8 at one point. He just was missing chances all of the time. But yeah, I do feel for Leeds. I think they play nice football, but nice football gets you nowhere. You need to be winning games, and they've not had a great start to the season.
No, they haven't. I don't think they've had like very favorable fixtures either. I think the fixtures lighten up for them a little bit now. But I do think they have a talented team. But like you said, they just play all out attacking football that sometimes it's just so incredibly open. So the big talking point from that game was obviously the red card. Harvey Elliott's injury. Well, I think we both wish him that he gets well soon. I did see an update that it was an ankle injury that he's getting surgery on, but I don't have any more information from that. But in your opinion, it seemed like the ref did take some time to show the red card. At least on my stream, the commentators were saying at first it was a VAR decision. Then they were told that it was actually the referee's decision. And it seems that he made the decision potentially off of the severity of the injury rather than maybe the actual tackle itself. So was it a red card in your opinion?
Personally, no, because I thought strike, however you say his name, got the ball at first. And the more time I watched it, I saw him. He got the ball, and I don't think the challenge was the problem. I don't even think it was a foul. I just think, personally, for me, when I was watching the game and I saw it all unfold, I thought the referee showed the card based on the injury, which is what happened last season, if you remember, with Son and Gomez. Son was shown a red card due to obviously Gomez's leg. And I think that was maybe the case. I've seen a few different versions of events. I've seen, it was the referee's decision. It was a VAR decision based on what they saw, and then the referee upheld that. Whether they corroborated, I really don't know. But obviously Son's card got rescinded last season, so maybe it'll be the same for Leeds. But we do have them next. So no, that's me being rude. I did say yesterday I would like justice to prevail in terms of officiating. But which I would, because obviously I felt really sorry for him yesterday. I felt sorry for both of them because the injury's awful at a young age as well. If it was a broken ankle, I've seen it's dislocated apparently, which isn't great. But I also felt sorry for Pascal Strike as well, because I just think, it's not a nice thing to do that to somebody. He was obviously devastated.
He looked devastated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looked so upset. So it's not a nice thing on both parts. But for me personally, I don't think it was a red card at the time. I just think it was based on, the severity of the injury.
Yeah, that was kind of my feeling as well. I felt like if he hadn't gotten injured from that, then
Yeah.
I don't think that he would have been shown the red card at all. I'm going to get to some comments that we have from you guys watching. So it's kind of all over the place. Maybe we've talked about things, maybe we haven't. Izuku asks, will Tuchel adapt to striker formation with Lukaku and Werner heading the attack? I think like what we've seen is that it's very fluid. Werner actually hasn't really been starting. Kai Havertz has been favored. But I think we could potentially even see a back four, maybe, who knows? Like, I do think that the formation is fluid, but Lukaku is a nailed-on starter for me. You bought him for £97.5 million, so he's going to basically be starting week in, week out. And then Werner and Havertz are going to be competing for that spot. Kendall, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think 100% I agree. I know there was a lot of talk that Tuchel might start with two up front when you signed Lukaku, and maybe Lukaku is going to be, the key to unlock Timo Werner's abilities. But as we've seen, you don't actually really need him at this point. The system's set up and it's working currently. I think Havertz is such a good player. I think he's so good. But the good thing, as I've said several times on this show before, well, not this specific show, but your channel, you believe, the fact is the fans and the club believe in Tuchel, and that is so important. I think when you have trust in a manager, even when he changes things, you're not worrying about it. I think that makes all of the difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, especially with what Tuchel's achieved at such a short time in Chelsea, like he's made all of us Chelsea fans completely fall in love with him. The man can't put a foot wrong, honestly.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comment. Super, super kind. So we have a question from Tom. He says, question for both of you. Who do you think will get the golden boot? And this is a hard one because I feel like there's so many contenders. Salah, Ronaldo, Harry Kane, I'm not so sure. Not so convinced with what I've seen this season. Lukaku as well. I'll let you go first because you probably know my answer.
Personally, for me, there was this whole argument yesterday on Twitter, and I said Lukaku because, for me, the reason why I say Lukaku is because Man United have other goal scorers. So there's like Mason Greenwood, there's Bruno Fernandes, who may be on set pieces unless Ronaldo takes it. There's the likes of Rashford, maybe Pogba if he has a long range shot. There's people in Manchester United who will also score goals alongside Ronaldo. Whereas for me, with Chelsea, Lukaku is your outlet, it is your goal scoring outlet. Obviously, we saw Kovacic scored yesterday, the day before.
Yeah, but that's like 2 years.
It's not going to be a common occurrence. So for me, Lukaku is going to be the talisman for Chelsea, which is why I think he's going to get the golden boot. Similar with Salah, he's got to compete with the likes of Mane, for example. So in Diego Jota and things like that. So for me, that's why Lukaku is my choice.
Yeah, for me as well. I just think I think he's been outperforming his expected goals by quite a bit already in just a few Premier League games. And really, I can't even count Liverpool because we just got a red card and that we were defending for our lives for 45 minutes. But the goals that he has scored, he just looks so clinical. He looks so strong. He doesn't need that much creation. Yesterday, I didn't feel that Chelsea created all of that much. Or was it yesterday? No, Saturday. Listen to my mind. I didn't feel that Chelsea.
My day is
what day is it? Where are we? I didn't feel that Chelsea created all that much, but he still had some crazy goals. They were ridiculous goals. I haven't seen that in so long. So I'm going with Lukaku as well. Just a couple more questions before we wrap up. So currently, Manchester United, Chelsea, and Liverpool all are tied at the top of the Premier League table. They all have 10 points. And not only that, they all have the same exact goal difference with 8 points as well. Man City are right behind them with 9 points. So do you think that we're going to see a battle that is this close for the rest of the season?
I know that obviously it's very early in the season. You can never tell what's going to happen. I think at this point last season, Man City were like 8th or something like that. It was crazy. But I just think the top 4 currently, not in the order that it's in right now, but the top 4 will be the top 4 at the end of the season. I'll be very surprised if it isn't. Unless, teams strengthen in January, I think that will probably be the top 4. They've looked the strongest. They've got probably, aside from obviously Liverpool, who I don't think has a good squad depth, I think that Manchester City, Chelsea and Manchester United have the best squad depth in the league. And both of their first, they could do 2 first 11s and they would both be really good. So yeah, I think that looks where it probably is at right now. And I think they'll be the 4 teams who fight it out for the title and, the top 4 places for me.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see over the next few weeks if this stays like this, because United have really difficult fixtures coming up. Chelsea have had difficult fixtures up until about game week 7, and then it eases. So I'm personally really interested to see how United play. I think Ronaldo can be the difference maker, because last season I felt that they were actually quite poor against teams in the top 6. I felt that they played extremely safe. I think I'm just recalling this off the top of my head, so it could perfectly be wrong, but I think I remember something like 5 out of 6 games against the top 6 results in 0-0 draws or something like that. So I'm curious to see if that's going to change this season, and if Ole is going to be the one who can kind of change that, or if they're going to be playing for a draw against these teams in the top 6. So going to be interesting. Final thing, I just want to go through the games upcoming, kind of like a quick preview of the games at the weekend, and just get your thoughts, like quickly who's going to win, and maybe a score if you feel like it. Okay, cool. Newcastle Leeds.
For me, I can't see us defending against Leeds. We don't defend against the best anyone really at the moment. So I hate backing my team to lose, because I think it's just negativity. But yeah, I think it'll be 2-0 Leeds.
Interesting. Wolves Brentford.
That's going to be a boring game for me. I'm going to not go 1-0 Wolves. I haven't really watched Brentford that much this season, apart from the first game, because obviously they kicked off the season. But yeah, Wolves have looked quite strong this season. Better than they did under Nuno last season. So yeah, 1-0 Wolves for me.
Nice. Another one, Norwich Watford.
Again, that's I love football at the best of times, guys. I watch most games, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I'd go out of my way to watch Norwich and Watford. Luckily, it's a 3:00 kickoff, so I don't have to watch it necessarily. But we're gonna have to start watching the games for this show. So I think I'm gonna go 0-0.
Interesting. I was gonna say like a 1-1, but
yeah, it'll be a draw.
A tie. Burnley Arsenal. Will Arsenal win this match?
The problem is with Arsenal, as I said, they've just got no creative outlook going forward, and Burnley play a low block all the time, so I can't see them getting past them. 1-1 Burnley Arsenal.
I like that. Man City Southampton.
I just can't see anything in a Man City win. Southampton have signed some really good players, by the way. I think young players there. Obviously, their transfer window has been signed young, decent players. Like Livermento's looked really, really good.
Yeah.
2-1. I'll go 2-1.
Interesting. Liverpool Palace.
See, this is the thing. Now it's getting a bit tough to guess fixtures, because Crystal Palace looked so good at the weekend. But so did
I feel like they could go either way. Like they're gonna show up and maybe like get a draw against Liverpool, or it's going to be like a smashing or something.
It's at Anfield, so my preference would be maybe to go towards Liverpool just because it's at Anfield. But that's a tough one to predict, I think.
I'm gonna say 2-1 to Liverpool. I think Palace can get a goal.
Yeah.
Let's see. Aston Villa Everton.
2-2, I think. They've both got goal scorers in the team, both got, really decent teams. So for me, that will be another quite a difficult one, but I think 2-2.
Interesting. Brighton, Leicester.
See, Brighton have also kicked off quite well. They
Yeah.
got like a clutch win at the weekend against Brentford. But Leicester are also one of them teams who always look pretty good. And they've had a decent summer. So I'll go 2-1 Leicester, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, I think they'll probably win as well. West Ham United, that's going to be an interesting one.
Very interesting. Again, for me, that can go either way. It's an away game for Manchester United. So, and I mean, even in the first half of our game, despite how terrible we are at the moment, we actually looked quite good. And I think if you play with intensity against Man United, they struggle to systematically defend because they're not used to that. I don't know about did Antonio get sent off at the weekend?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So he's going to be
So
out.
he's
this
out.
game,
So
big
see,
miss for them.
there's a thing.
Yeah.
I know they've got a couple of players who will score goals as well, but that's the thing. He's their clutch guy as well, a bit like Lukaku at Chelsea. So, I don't actually know how that game's going to go. If I'm honest, that might be a draw as well.
I know it really could go either way. I'm gonna go for 1-0 to United, but I'm terrible at predictions, you guys.
Me too. I never get them right ever, ever.
Yeah. And then the big match of the weekend, at least in my opinion, Tottenham Chelsea. What are you saying?
2-0 Chelsea. I just think that when you're in a position like Tottenham and you're so desperate to succeed, it's hard to. And when you lose off a win like that, we saw the same thing happen last season. They started off really well at the beginning of the season, and then they tailed off and didn't have a great season after that. So Chelsea looks so strong, and I just can't see them losing to Tottenham even. And I just don't, again, I don't think Tottenham have the creative outlet to keep scoring goals consistently, and a lot of amount of goals in the game. So yeah, I think 2-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, I think the one thing I will say is, since it's a London derby, Tottenham always show up. It doesn't matter how poorly they can be playing, they will always try to show up against Chelsea. I think especially now that Chelsea are champions of Europe as well, they're going to want to get one over on us. But I really do think that this Chelsea side is just so strong.
Yeah, me too.
We should be beating Tottenham. We should be beating them. Daniel says, brilliant video again. Keep it up and good to see you on, Kendall. Thanks so much. Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this kind of different bit of content. We'll be having this show weekly, I think around the same time, probably every week. Kendall, thanks so much for joining, and let everybody know where they can find you.
No, as always, love doing streams with you, and thank you for having me. Yeah, but obviously tune in, guys, every week, because we are going to be here all of the season, hopefully. So you'll have to join us every week, every Monday. But yeah, if you want to just find me, I am here. Oh, I'm getting so good at pointing to the right side.
That's really impressive, because I still have not nailed it.
So good. I'm getting used to it now.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to just follow me here, this is my handle on more socials. Twitter has got an X on the end, but that's because some random person stole my username. I don't know why. I've never been able to get it, but yeah, kind of on all socials: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Obviously, go and follow Ellie as well, and this channel, and subscribe to this channel because she's doing amazing big things. So please go and do that as well.
Aw, thanks so much. I've put your Twitter information in the description box. So guys, if you want to find Kendall on Twitter, make sure to click that description box. I've also tweeted it out if you want it easy and you already follow me. Thanks guys for 10K. That was absolutely insane. So I'm so freaking pleased about that. And I'll try to do some Q&A. I don't know. But guys, hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any comments, any suggestions about what you want to see us talk about next week, feel free to let us know in the comments. And yeah, until next time, we're out.